Right, ma'am. I think we can begin. So most of our panelists are here, and just a few of them are just renaming themselves. So we'll just wait for them. But till then, we'll just begin. So greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join this session. My name is Kartikeya Singh, and I'm a student in Sanskriti School, studying in class 11. Rebel Girls is a platform founded by me along with my sister Nitya, a student studying in class 8 in Vasant Valley School. Our aim is to nurture young adults through stories of women who have broken barriers, empowering them to become active global citizens who speak up and drive change in the world they live in. Over the years, Rebel Girls Interactions has hosted many women role models from across the professions, including Anuradha Pal, India's first internationally acclaimed female tabla player, Mrs. Karna Maleshwari, India's first women Olympic gold medalist, Mrs. Ira Singhal, India's first differently abled IS topper, Ms. Nigar Shahaji, director for the Sun mission at ISRO, and Ms. Anita Dongre as well, one of India's leading fashion designers and sustainability champions, and many more. So each of our sessions touches upon different ways in which children can influence change, address gender, as well as provide an opportunity to explore potential career paths and passions they may choose to follow. So if you want to catch a glimpse of the platform's journey, please make sure to check out our website at www.rebelgirls.in. In the last 4 years, our platform has reached out to over 20,000 children across the country, as well as from other countries. Some of the organizations with which we have partnered include UN Women, Girl Up India, and Tabangal. Some other ways in which we engage with students is through hosting a Gender Equality Champions Lab, which is a mentorship training program on gender equality for students to lead initiatives for causes they are passionate about, such as menstrual hygiene for women. And they got to partner with organizations such as the School of Active Citizenship, Girl Up India, YP Foundation, etc. We're looking forward to also opening small student-based chapters across different regions as well. So if any student wants to open a Rebel Girls chapter in their region, feel free to reach out to us. We also regularly conduct short 10 to 15-minute interviews with some women achievers on our YouTube channel. Another thing I'd like to point out, our co-founder Nitya, an advocate for people with dyslexia, has even written a comic book series on a dyslexic superhero called Purple Flame, which has even been published. This is one of the world's first comic books on a person with dyslexia and the world's first comic book on a dyslexic superhero. In fact, she was even featured in the UN Women Global Report 2021 for her strive for advocating for people with disabilities. So if there's any student here who wants to pitch any cause forward to us or wants to lead an initiative with us, feel free to reach out. We're looking forward to hearing more ideas. So for updates on what we are doing, what we will do, you can check out our social media handles at Instagram and Facebook and Twitter at rebelgirls.in. So for today's session, we have Miss Malvika Iyer. She's a disability rights activist, a bomb blast survivor, a social worker, and an international motivational speaker at forums such as UN Women, the World Economic Forum, TEDx Talk, and many more. She's also a model for accessible fashion and has been awarded many notable honors such as the Nari Shakti Puraskar, which is the highest civilian honor for women for her outstanding contribution to women's empowerment. In fact, on the occasion of International Women's Day, she was selected to take over our Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Twitter account. These are just a few of the milestones accomplished by our speaker, and we look forward to learning more about her journey. Thank you, ma'am, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to interact with us today. So the theme for today's Balgirl session is KIND, which stands for Kindling, Inclusion and Nurturing Disabilities. The aim of this session is to generate awareness for people having disabilities or special needs and help students be inclusive of everyone. So without further ado, let's begin. So ma'am, before we actually begin with the questions and the session, we have a small Kahoot quiz. So basically what it's the Kahoot quiz is on disabilities and just some themes regarding our session. So how we're going to do is the Kahoot is going to be continuous throughout the session. We'll put the game pin in the chat and we'll present our screens so the people can join the Kahoot, and we'll go question by question. So there'll be one question, and then we'll take one question from the core team which you can talk about, and then we'll take one question of Kahoot, one question for the core team, and so on. So that's how we'll progress for this session. So before we begin, I'll just share my screen for the Kahoot. It's an easy Kahoot. It's not something very academic. It's also fun at the same time, because this is an activity the students like to join. So yeah, I'll just present my screen for the Kahoot. Let me know if it's visible. Right. Could the host could I be made the host so I can share my screen? Yeah, I think yeah, now I can share my screen. Let me know if my screen is visible.
It is visible.
Right. So yeah, this is the Kahoot quiz. Ma'am, you can also join if you want. So it's just a fun. So we'll continue with this. I'll actually mute or the music. I'll let it go. So everyone, the game. Yeah. Um. Wait. So this is the game pin. So just join. Please join from your actual names.
7045698.
But you need to go to kahoot.it and enter that code there.
Yeah.
Karthik, you have to go to kahoot.it on the browser.
Can more people join? It says player limit has reached.
Just leave it. Let's try and do it again. Let's go on with it. Let's try and fix the error.
All right. So should we go to the question first then?
Yes.
All right. So we'll just take the Kahoot after this question, ma'am. So ma'am, the first question for our session is something that I wanted to ask. So ma'am, could you just tell us a bit about your journey and what inspired you to go on the path that you chose?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question and thank you for inviting me. And a big hi to all the lovely, I see more than 400 participants who have joined. So a big hello to all the students here. As mentioned, my name is Malvika. I belong to both South and North India. So I was born in Southern India, but I have grown up in Rajasthan. It's my journey from Tamil Nadu to Rajasthan. I have a special story to share because so till the age of 13, I had perhaps a very lovely, a very warm, a very normal, healthy childhood. I loved playing kites. I was very good at dancing. I was a trained Kathak dancer. I loved singing. I loved sports. So I think extracurriculars was, my favorite. I mean, I was, whenever my teacher would be like, who would be interested in this project or that project, and I'll like, raise my hand up. So that's the person that I was. But what happened to me is, I would say, destiny, because to what happened to me, I till date, I have never spent even a day wondering, regretting, blaming, or complaining to anyone that why did this happen to me, or I wish it did not happen to me. So I'm going to take you back to the year 2002. I'm sure most of you wouldn't have been born. So this happened when I was 13 years old. I'm sure there'll be many 13-year-olds here. So like you were trying to determine, I'm sure this is the time when you're about to start your 10th grade, and what next. 11th and 10th is such an important grade in our lives. It's like a milestone year, because after that you get to choose the subjects that you want. So that's how it was for me. But what happened was, I met with a bomb blast, and to briefly tell you, a grenade exploded in my hands, and this was in Rajasthan, Bikaner. And as soon as the grenade exploded, I lost both my hands from the wrist. And that is the visible disability that most people see. But there's more to that story, because both my legs, when the accident happened, I had severe injuries to my legs. I had multiple fractures, nerve paralysis, loss of sensation. So it's a long list. And that's the reason also I was bedridden for about a year and a half, because I couldn't walk, and the doctors, it took everyone forever, because there were so many injuries to my legs that even my height is reduced a little bit because of the impact of the accident. So while I'm telling you this story, This is the one part of my journey, but there is something I would say, because people, when they look at me, they may wonder that, oh, I lost my hands, I lost my ability to run or dance like before, or walk like before. There's so many losses that I can share with you, but there is something that I believe that is in each one of us, something that we never lose, and something that is very unique and special to us. And I say that is our spirit, human spirit. It is made of such courage, such strength, and such determination that nothing, I would say, no loss, no challenge that we face, or no disability that becomes a part of our life, nothing can take it away from us. So with my that spirit that I'm sharing with you, I think that is what helped me move past the accident. What happened to me after that, I would say, it has been a great journey for me. I completed my 10th. I then joined school, because 10th I couldn't. I have a little story, maybe towards the end of the talk I want to share more about my 10th grade. But yes, after that I joined school, then I took up a bachelor's and master's, and then I completed my doctorate. I think 3 years ago I got my doctorate degree. And here I am. I think it's been this year, it will be my 9th anniversary as a motivational speaker. I gave my first public talk in the year 2013, but till then, I have to tell you that so many challenges that I'm sure we will talk about, so many things that stopped me from discovering who I truly am. But I'm glad that I did, and I'm very grateful today that I didn't decide to blame or complain that this accident happened, because I think in a way I took it as my strength. And I think this opportunity that I'm getting with you today to talk to you, I would also call, it's, I think everything, when we find the silver lining in everything, it just makes I think turns everything positive. So yes, this is my journey. And from a 13-year-old bomb blast survivor to I call I think my greatest identity, or else something that I most connect with, is being a speaker, connecting with people, sharing my story, and talking to people about disability. Because you may wonder that, because I don't have hands, so I have also wondered when I was 13 that, am I less than anyone? Or, just because I don't have those two hands, does it make me inferior to my peers, or does it make me any less of a person? But I am here to tell you that no, it doesn't matter how we look, or what our skin color is, or where we are from, what body parts we have or we don't have. We are all equal. And I think that's also with kindness. I love the theme of this talk. I think if there is kindness, and the kindness, that is, it has to be two ways. If we ourselves are kind to our old self, instead of being critical, and instead of me saying that no, I am not good enough, if I am kind to myself and people around me are kind to me, I think we can have the most amazing and inclusive society that we are all working towards. So yes, that would be my journey.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, I actually really appreciate the fact that you didn't give up like some hobbies of yours, like you didn't stop like dancing, even though you lost your hands in a bomb blast. I think that because sometimes people get discouraged being like, oh, I don't have hands, I don't have the ability to continue the hobby that I had all this while. And it takes a lot of courage for that as well. So thank you, ma'am, for sharing that. Um, we'll get the Kahoot fixed in just a while. So till then, we'll move on to our next question. Our next question is from Nitya. So Nitya, if you could just ask your question. Yeah.
Um, Ma'am, it's a great honor to meet you. But since you're, I think you might have already answered a little bit of my question. But were there any social stigmas and challenges you faced during your journey, which was really hard to overcome, but like you eventually got through it?
I think you may be surprised, because when I talk about being a person with disability, it's visible that I don't have two hands, and many people wonder that how do I get about doing things, or how am I independent? So with my own story and talking to people like me who have become disabled during their journey, or also with my research, my doctorate research, what I understood was these physical barriers that I have. So, for example, take my example, the physical restrictions or the barriers that I currently have. sometimes, in fact most times, the attitudinal discrimination around us, that could be more of a barrier than my own physical limitation. And that is what also my research shows, my doctorate research and my own personal story, my experiences. There are many times when I feel complete by myself, because I know that I am very independent, and I am actually, when somebody asks me, how do you get about doing things, I very proudly say that I think there is only one thing that I cannot do, which is to, tie my hair in a ponytail. I think, except that, be it cooking, be it cleaning, be it, working on my laptop, be it typing, or I mean, the list is endless. It's going to be, this year is going to be the 20th anniversary of my accident. And there are so many things that I have learned to do. But imagine I am so independent and I feel so fulfilled and complete by myself. But then when I would walk on the road, somebody would look at me and point that, oh, in Hindi, they would say bechari ladki, poor girl. That is the translation. So, immediately there is a feeling of pity, because, I don't have hands. So that immediately means that, I'm a bechari ladki. So that is the, I think, the stigma, and, many others as well. There is a myth that people with disability have, been cursed in this life, or perhaps they must have done something terrible in their past life, because that's the reason I'm living a life like this. Or not just societal attitudes, it's also sometimes, we ourselves, it's not natural, it's sometimes even difficult for us to feel that, uh, these challenges that we face. So I think these barriers, the barrier that we ourselves create for ourselves, and then the barriers that are there in the society, these attitudinal discriminations, I would say that is the greatest limitation. And if that is removed, I would say every person with disability can lead a very fulfilled life, and I will be the happiest the day I am able to walk on the road and nobody stares at me, or nobody thinks that I'm a poor girl, or my life is, ruined because I lost my hands. If everybody saw me for my abilities, focused on what I have done, or even if I'm just a normal girl, I'm just, seeing me as any other girl of my age, I think that is what it would mean to be a part of a completely inclusive society. And that stigma that perhaps I may have done something wrong, or it's a mistake that I have done, that I have become a person with disability, I think that needs to go away.
Yes, ma'am, totally agree. Ma'am, I think one of the good things that I once read about something about gender equality was something like it's always in the simple things, like when there is like cooking at home, for example, and the husband takes up the initiative of cooking, it's always such a wow thing. And only when you start eliminating that wow, like, okay, a husband cooking is normal, I think that's when gender equality is truly established. So I think on that, it's just something that I wanted to add as well. So, ma'am, for our the Kahoot will just get fixed. Give us like a few moments. Our next question is from Kaisha. Kaisha, if you're ready, if you want to ask your question, you can go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Ma'am, I must add, you're a very motivational speaker and you really inspire me. So my question to you is, what was the response of people around you when you started your journey?
Thank you for the question. I would say I think I was part of two worlds living at the same time. The first set was, my immediate, my family, my parents, my sister, and my close friends, my close relatives, extended family. I think I'm truly blessed in that, because starting from my mother, I think she was the person who decided that the day my accident happened, she never sat and said that, oh my God, something terrible has happened to my daughter. I think the only goal she had that from that day was, how do I bring her out, or how do I move forward, or how do I solve the problems. There was never a discussion about, oh, we have problems. It was, how do we solve it. So with that mindset, with a growth mindset, we wanted to move forward. So with that, I think that was how my family and my friends were with me. And I grew up since my accident. It was a rebirth for me, right? Because I think I almost died on that day, 26th May. So it's, for me, I started everything from the beginning, learning to eat again by myself, learning to write again, or learning to, how a baby learns everything from the beginning. Now I had to learn everything without my two hands and with severe limitation in my legs. So I had to relearn everything. But I had that support. Everyone in my family around me, they saw me that, they saw me as, and especially I think my mother, I have an elder sister, right? So there was never any, comparison between the two that, maybe she's doing better or she's better than me because of, XYZ. There was nothing like that. Whatever opportunities she had, I had. Whatever, benefits or anything that she was given, I was given. So that way, I never felt inferior to anyone or felt, bad that, maybe I am not, maybe I'm less than anyone. I did not feel that. But the other world that I was also a part was, there were many instances, especially because I was living in the hospital for almost a year and a half. I have encountered many people who would say that now I will never study again, because it's hard to imagine how you will study, because when I was 13, I was writing my 10th. So how do I even write my exams? Maybe I will never study again. Maybe I'll have a very dark future. So I think that was something that I also grew up with, or being called, a liability to my family, or being called a burden to my family, because maybe now I'm going to, add more expenses, or, add more duty. So these were certain, I would say, very insensitive remarks that also came towards me. But like I said, my immediate, I think most people always appreciated who I was. So I think the response, that immediate, I think the support that is very needed, the social support that we have, it's our family, friends, our society. I think since that was very strong for me, so every achievement for me, even it could be a little achievement like me today holding a glass and drinking water with my new body, or anything, maybe the a state rank I got in my 10th, or any award I received. So I got a very encouraging response from people around me. And I think that is what helps. I'm sure encouragement and appreciation helps everyone. But for a person with disability, especially, I think that really helped me gain more confidence and believe in myself that, I am just like my sister, I am just like anybody my age.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, I totally agree that there are always going to be people who would see you like, oh, she's a burden, she's a liability. But I think it doesn't matter as long as people who are close to you actually accept you for you, who you are, and would love you regardless of what has happened to you. Thank you so much, Kaisha, for that question. The next person we have for a question, ma'am, is Hia. So, ma'am, Hia would be asking the next question. So, Hia, if you're ready, you can just ask your question.
Good evening, ma'am. My question is that our self-image today is based on what we see on the big screen. Most of us are prejudiced.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, ma'am, I'll just do that. Our self-image today is based on what we see on the big screen. Most of us are consumers of Western cinema and TV shows. What do we as young Indian girls do when we see a very prejudiced and stereotypical reflection of us in those films? What are some methods we can work on our self-image and stop characterizing ourselves based on what they think we are? Thank you.
I think that's a very, very important question. And my accident happened, I was just entering my teenage. So I think it's a very critical part of our life when you're just discovering who you are, people around you, and, trying to understand your body, trying to understand your life, your future. So for me, I think one of the, I remember this incident that I want to share first. It was after the accident. I was getting dressed for college, and I was looking at the mirror, and I think I was applying kajal by myself and kohl. And then my mom looked at me, and then when I was on the way to college, she told, I'm sorry. Yeah, she told me something, I think, that has stayed with me for a very long time. Just one second. Yeah.
Ma'am, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I think I'll just drink a little more.
Oh, no, I have no issues.
So what she told me was, I was looking at the mirror. I think I was smiling and I was applying that kohl. And she told me that it is, that smile that you're looking at the mirror, you are feeling confident, you're feeling complete. It doesn't matter what you don't have, or it doesn't matter, maybe you lack something, or maybe something is not good enough or not perfect, but you smile from within looking at you. So she said that I think that is your greatest achievement. Your marks, or this, the report card, or any achievement that you do, I think beyond all of that, there is something that we must believe, that we believe in ourselves, or the confidence that we have, that we are enough, or the strength, or our belief just about ourselves. I think that is what she said, I need you to build that. And when she saw me smile at the mirror, so this image, I remember when I joined college, I think that was the first time I was in Delhi, St. Stephen's, and there were people from all over the country. Every country topper was my classmate, and everyone had perfect, everyone looked perfect to me, everyone had perfect hands, perfect legs, and they were so intelligent. And I remember for many days I used to fear, like, how am I going to face them? And I used to, and we have been told, like your question that you asked, that we have been told that we have to look a certain way, fair skinned, or you should have, such kind of hair, or you should have such, you should not be too, overweight, or there are so many, restrictions that are put on us, that this is how you're supposed to be, or this is your weight. And growing up, completing my college, more and more movies or ads we see, that women, and even our dolls, or I think anything that we play with or we see, everything. When I grew up, honestly, I never saw anybody without hands on TV as a main character, or even have a doll. All my dolls that I used to play with had perfect hands and perfect legs. So I think for a very long time, trying to be somebody that I was not, I think I spent a lot of my time, because I was so sure that maybe I am not good enough. I remember I was fitted with artificial hands by then. And of course, they are very useful for many people who want to use it. Like, for example, somebody who has just lost one hand, I'm sure it will be very useful for them to get that kind of support. I think the only reason I was wearing my hands was so that I could wear it, hide my my stumps, wear a full sleeve top, and cover it till the end, so that nobody would notice that I was different. And I also used to be very scared of shaking hands, because a stranger would come. Of course, when you shake a artificial hand, you will notice it's not a real hand. I used to keep my hands behind my back, I remember many, and I will just avoid meeting strangers, because I know that I am not the perfect person, that ideal a person that my age should be. I think what I did while following the norms, or and trying to follow what it was to be perfect, trying to understand, in that process, I think I lost many years of my life, because I was so focused on being somebody that I was not, that I failed to realize what I was good at. And once I stopped doing that, I think that's what acceptance gives us, right? That my mom, when she told me that, when you smiled and you accepted yourself in front of the mirror, you smiled with a confidence. So I think once I got that, and I realized that, okay, this is it, this is me, and doesn't matter what I have, what I don't have, or whether I am, I can tick all the boxes of how a perfect woman should be. I have my own skills. Okay, I cannot dance like before, but maybe I can write, or I can learn to speak, or I can learn a new hobby. Maybe with my limited mobility, I can learn something. So I think that is when my journey of actually accepting myself and being true to myself started. And I think that is something that I wish I had not wasted so many years of my life. Of course, it's a lesson, so I wouldn't call it a complete waste, because I have learned a lot from it. But you are all here my age when the accident happened. So the 13, all the girls here, I would say that I think it would be unfair to compare ourselves. We are so unique, and I know that today there is no one like me. I know that I am a unique person, and everyone here today that has joined, we all have our unique skills. We all are some, everybody's, I know that we know that we are good at something. So we just need to find that And we need to believe in that first, because if when my accident happened, I thought I was going to be a dancer because I was a trained Kathak dancer. And my second good, the best thing that I was good at was crafting. I used to love designing and making things with my hands. So imagine myself, like the horror that I've lost both my hands, and I can never dance again, and I can never craft again with my two hands. So what do I do? Do I just quit? No, I need to find out what I am truly. So, with what I have, with what I am now, how do I, plan my life, or how do I go about life now? So I think that is something that I would want to share to each one of you here, that what's out there or what we are being told, and all those people who I still remember, who used to call me bechari ladki. I'm glad that I didn't believe them, or I'm glad that I didn't believe that I'm a liability to my parents, because I am sure that my parents tell me that they are so proud of me. So I think even in their dreams, they wouldn't have thought that I'm a burden or a liability to them, but they are actually proud of me for everything that I have done. So I think it's us, ultimately our spirit that I talked about in the morning. So we need to cherish that always.
That's amazing, ma'am. And I think, ma'am, I have seen this like whenever like you don't know how people will react about something that you have different about yourself. So like, ma'am, you gave the example of shaking hands with someone. So, ma'am, they're not aware of it, and when you show your hand, they would just be like, "Oh, this is different. How do I react to this?" So I think sometimes it's that situation is not the same for everyone, and I think I definitely agree that there is some sort of a social stigma that comes with that, but I think people are becoming more accommodating, and at least even if they are not, you have the closest people who are who really matter accepting. Ma'am, another thing, the Kahoot is ready. So ma'am, we can start presenting. So how we're gonna do is that we're gonna show one question, and then we'll come back to another question from our core team member, and then we'll again show another Kahoot question. This is just a process we'll keep following. So could we start presenting if the Kahoot is ready? Just give us a minute. Yes, this is the Kahoot, and the game pane will be displayed on the screen. So what everyone has to do is they just have to go on their Google or browser and search kahoot.it, and they'll ask for a game pin. You put this game pin and it'll ask for your name. So just put your original name. Please don't come with funny names and some name that's not yours. So just keep it normal, and it's just a small quiz. It's easy, don't worry. So it's just meant to be fun. So yeah. Oh, you also joined, ma'am. Once we get like some like 50-60 participants, we can meet. People can keep joining in the middle of the quiz as well. Right. So this is the Kahoot. Everyone can join in. Like the timer has started, but you can still join. I'll read out the questions as well in case you can't see. Which law protects the rights of the people with disabilities in India? So this is just a small question. After this, just see which option you think it is. And there will be a leaderboard. So people who have answered correct in the quickest time, they'll be first, second, third. So that's just how Kahoot works. Right. So the correct answer was the blue option. That is the rights of people RPWD 2016. The other ones are not actually legal guarantees, like they're just we made them up for the options. The correct answer was RPWD 2016. We'll continue with the second. Right. So in the famous Bollywood movie Hichki, what disability did the star of the movie have? Hearing impairment, dyslexia, Tourette syndrome, cerebral palsy. These are just the 4 options, whichever you think is correct. Please don't put the answers in the chat. Right. So the correct answer was Tourette syndrome. She did have Tourette syndrome. That's actually the reason why it's Hitchki, because she would keep having just some nervous stimulations. So that's just why the name. So yes, ma'am. So we'll keep continuing with this Kahoot. So right now we have another question. And after this, we'll keep continuing with this Kahoot. It's not the end of it. So our next question is from Manishika.
Yeah. Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, it's so motivational to listen to you, and it's so inspiring. Ma'am, my question is, what was the biggest fear ahead of 13-year-old Malvika after meeting the accident?
I think when I remember I used to love, like I talked about, I used to love playing. I used to love doing a lot of things with my hands. I think I still remember, I think my favorite hobby at the time, what to do was to fly kites, or, just to chase around and get kites. I think all my 13-year-old self, I think the biggest fear when the accident happened to me was I had disappointed my parents, and with all that I had, my my little I would say the funny things that I used to do, or the playfulness that I had. So I think with all that in my head, I think my biggest I would say fear at that time. I remember I had apologized to my parents that I'm sorry for putting you through this. I think this was the first thing I told my mom after the accident happened. But little did I know that. I think our parents are, I think they are our greatest strength and support. And there was no way, even for a single second, they had believed that, I have disappointed them, or, I have done something bad. I think it's in their nature to forgive us, but it's also in their nature to teach us that, how we move forward, or how we do better. So every mistake, so that is something, the fear of, having disappointed my parents. But I think that is when I discovered an even more beautiful result out of this me becoming friends. I think we became friends, my mom with my dad. I think we became best of friends, and I think from then I have realized that, to be able to trust, we are children, we sometimes get into trouble, or we need some kind of supervision, or we need some kind of assistance. So what my mom taught me was, whatever you need, it could be good or it could be bad, it could be something you're shy, it could be you're embarrassed, whatever it is, you come to me, and I will be somebody who would help you. I'm never going to judge you if you've done something wrong. So I think that fear that I had that day, I think it completely changed, and it became more of I would say a more trusting and a more this kind of a bond it formed between my parents. And I think since then I have always gone to them every time I got into trouble, or every time I needed help, or anything that I needed. I knew that I needed to confide in my parents, and I think they will be the one who will help me. And since then, I think till date, they have been my best of friends, and my fear has, I would say, it has given me the most beautiful, I would say, a relationship that I could have.
That's amazing, ma'am. And I think it's really important to have that relationship with your family also, when just through life as well, for everyone. Right, ma'am. So, ma'am, we'll take the Kahoot again. Like, we'll just take one or two questions, and then we'll come back to the questions that we have from our core team. Right. So, could the screen start being presented? Right. So, yeah.
Can everybody see the questions as well? I think there is some error. So I just want to make sure that everyone's able to see the questions.
Yeah, I'm reading out the questions as well and the options. So 1 second, we'll just see the leaderboard. So on first position, we have Malini. On second position, we have, I think, I'm so sorry if I mispronounce this, but Manny. Third position, we have Manishika, the person who just asked question to ma'am as well. Yashika, and then Priyanka. So this leaderboard will keep changing on how fast you answer and whether you answer correct. The next question is, all disabilities are formed at birth, true or false? This should be quite an easy question. 10 more seconds.
blue, if you select blue, the answer is true. If you select red, it's false.
Yeah. Right. Please don't put the answers in the chat. Let's try to keep some suspense in the game as we move on as well. Right. So the correct answer was false. Oh wow, the leaderboard didn't change at all. So Malini is maintaining her first position, and of course, second, third, fourth, fifth is the same. So right, we'll have the next question from our Kahoot. What does this image show? So this is a cartoon. So basically, what does this cartoon show? Does it show how societies in different countries provide opportunities, how people have different heights, right against exploitation, or equality versus equity? Right, so quite a varied response. So in this, we have the correct answer as the green option, which is equality versus equity. So what the image was showing is that there were three people who were watching a cricket match, and one of them, who was a little bit shorter in height, could not see the match because all of them were placed at the same level. But once you gave them more opportunities, he was able to see the match. So it's kind of like equality versus equity. Equality includes providing everyone opportunities that they can gain access to the same services like in our country. But equity means placing them at the same level completely, which may not always work in their favor. So, right, we'll continue with the Kahoot later. We have another question from Manishika. But before that, let's just see the leaderboard. Oh, we have a new name. We have Shrija at fourth position. Right, so congratulations. And yeah, Manishika, you can go ahead with your question as well.
Thank you, Kartike. My next question is, do you feel that you are a stronger version of yourself after meeting with the accident? And if so, how?
Yes, definitely. I think this accident, like I talked about, that having I think to realize that our life is so much more than the societal expectations or some unreasonable expectations that we ourselves put for how we should be, or how that is the only way to be. So I think for me, this accident, I would say, it has only made me stronger. Having seen loss at this young age, trying to navigate through life, and of course I think the challenges, both physical challenges, emotional challenges, taking care of my mental health. So I think all of this, I would really say that even there are some positives because of the accident, because I think what I learned is to be more content in life, or to celebrate all my achievements. It is not just I got a state rank in my 10th with just 3 months of preparation, and I know that that is perhaps my greatest achievement. But that, more than that, I would say being able to learn to cook for myself, I think that is a great achievement too. The first time I took a brush and with my two hands I learned how to drink water, I think that's an achievement too. So being able to celebrate not just the result that we see outside, or just the report card or anything. I think being able to celebrate all our achievements, it could be the smallest or it could be something great for you, but I think we all deserve to do that. And this accident has taught me, and not just me, everyone around my family, everyone in my family, that we need to celebrate ourselves every day. We need to indulge in positive self-talk. We are critical that, oh, when you're looking at the mirror, oh, my hair is not correct, or my face is not right, or this is not good. I think we need to be more positive, or more appreciative of what we have and how we look, or how we are. And I think that is something that the accident has taught me, to gain the strength that I should do more of positive self-talk than critical self-talk. So yes, I would say it has only made me stronger as a person.
Definitely, ma'am. Thank you so much for that input. Before we move on to another question, we'll continue with the two more questions from the Kahoot. So again, we'll start presenting our screen, and then after that, we'll move on to more questions. We'll take audience questions in the end as well. Right. So could the screen start being presented? Right. So the next question is, this is a fun question. If Dory from Disney had a disability, which one would it be? So Dory again is a character from a Disney movie, from Finding Dory and Finding Nemo. So will it be ADHD, dyslexia, blindness, or hearing impairment? Hopefully everyone gets this. Um, right. So the correct answer is ADD, but we did have quite a varied response. Again, this was an open-ended question. So attention deficit disorder basically means that you have some problems in just basic attention span, not just attention span, but in simple things as well. When it comes to just doing something like paying attention in class or writing notes, you have some problems in that. It's not something very big against that you're totally disabled, but it's just something that you have a special need for. So, right. Well, the leaderboard is, we have a new name, Radhika, right? So congratulations, Radhika. And again, Malini still at first, congratulations. Our next question is, India offers reservations for people with disabilities to ensure their inclusion in all aspects of society, true or false? This is quite an easy question. So basically what it is, does our country offer reservations for people with disabilities? Please don't put the answers in the chat. Right. So the correct answer is true. 9 people got them wrong, but majority got it right. So we'll move on to the leaderboard. Oh wow, the leaderboard is unchanged. So we again have Malini on top, Manny quite close, and so is Manishika. And right, so now we'll take the next question from our core team member. Our next question is from Prahlad. So Prahlad, if you could just hop in and ask your question. Prahlad, can you wait? Can everyone hear Prahlad? Can everyone hear Prahlad, or is it just my connection?
I can't hear too.
Oh, all right. Prahlad, you can start asking your question. You have the floor.
Right. Hi guys, can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Sorry, there's a little bit of a connectivity issue. Anyway, firstly, it's been really great to hear the story of Malvika ma'am. I think it's been really inspirational. And I just want to give a big shout out to Karthikeya and Rebel Girls for just having this session. It's been really wonderful. So on to my question. I just wanted to talk about, inclusivity, as and I want to ask the question on the theme of inclusivity. So I was doing a little bit of research, and I found out that numerous research studies show that academic achievement of all students rise when schools embrace inclusive education. And that's basically because you're taking together a lot more students and you're giving all of them the same opportunities. So on the essence of inclusivity, and this is a question that's sort of targeting our schools and our education system. What do you think are certain steps that schools should be taking, or educational institutions rather should be taking, towards helping differently able students into sort of adapting into schools? Because usually in schools you'd basically just be saying students who are not disabled, and disabled students or differently able students usually will not get those many opportunities. So to sort of enhance those opportunities, what do you think education institutions should be doing? That's kind of my question.
I think a very, very important aspect is, and for me, I'm going to share my example here. You talked about how schools, what they can do to create that kind of an inclusive platform. So when I was I joined my 10th, I had missed all of my 9th grade and almost 3/4 of my 10th because I was living in a hospital at the time. So I only had 3 months to prepare. And at the time, I couldn't join a school because I needed to be admitted for full regular year. So that was not possible for me at the time. But when I completed my 10th, I experienced, I think the greatest joy at the time was I was a part of a regular school. I was part of all my peers around me, that feeling to be part of an inclusive education, to experience that. I think nothing could beat that. That was my first exposure to people my age after my accident. And I was only one who was wearing prosthetic artificial hands. And I remember the first adjustment that my school had made was the classroom was on the 3rd floor. But for me, I couldn't walk. I could walk a little bit, but I wouldn't be able to climb 3 floors. So the classes were shifted on the ground floor so that they could accommodate me. And of course, there was after I joined, when I was in the college, I remember my own classmate was using a wheelchair. So there were ramps for my classmates. And like that, these are some kind of accessibility. I'm talking about some kind of this kind of support. But there were many other kind of support that were given in both my school and college. And I think that is something that is very important, that it needs to be. It is something that if these benefits, or I wouldn't call them benefits, if these basic, I think something, I would say it's a right of a person with disability, because I am good at studies and I want to study, but how do I do it if my classroom is on the third floor and I cannot walk? So this accommodation. And when I was doing my social work masters in social work, I remember I was a caseworker for a girl with dyslexia. And she was again a part of, in Delhi this was, and she was a part of an inclusive school. So all her classmates, they would, hurriedly understand many things, but she would take her own sweet time. But she did understand. So for her, it was, she needed, I think, if you're maybe perhaps singing that a very simple statement, or if you're drawing it, I think that is what grabbed her attention more. So if the teacher, when the teacher accommodated that, so when all her classmates were able to understand by saying A, and she needed to maybe it to be drawn on the blackboard, or maybe it to be sung to her, she understood immediately. So it would be unfair to not let her be a part of a class. But with these kind of accommodations, it could be in the curriculum, the accommodation. Even for me, I need the help of a writer to write exam, because I cannot write with my hands. So for people like me, we get extra time. We get 30 minutes extra, 40 minutes extra to complete the same portion that somebody would, because I need to dictate, right? Like I'm speaking like that, I have to dictate each and every answer. And sometimes it gets so tiring, because you're speaking out loud all your answers, and it's difficult to dictate maths and science, especially, the diagrams, the formulas, it's very difficult. I need that extra time to be able to complete. So these kind of accommodations which are given, which are there, and even I have had the privilege of using these accommodations. So this is very important. And I would say that I think I would have been disheartened, or I don't think I would have had this great career if I was not a part of inclusive school and college. So it is thanks to that, thanks to having experienced inclusive education, I would say that I'm able to achieve all the things that I have. And I think it's very important, and every right of every student with disability to it could be a person with hearing impairment, it could be a visually challenged person, any kind of disability, we need to be able to accommodate whatever they needs are.
Totally, ma'am, agreed. Ma'am, actually, one thing I'd like to add, that this is something in our school as well, that students who have some of these disabilities like ADHD or dyslexia are giving extra time for writing exams. So that means that they're given half an hour more to finish the exams. And actually, even I was a writer. So basically what happened is that for students with disabilities, they have somebody else write the exam for them. And I was one of the people who wrote one of the exams for the disability students with the disability. So I think that is something that should be incorporated in all schools, because it provides them with more of equal opportunities to excel, if not more. So right, ma'am. Yes. So we'll be continuing with the Kahoot again. So we'll take 2 more questions and then we'll move on to another question from our panelists. Right. So again, leaderboard: first Malini, second Manny, third Manishika, fourth Yashika, and fifth Radhika. So yeah, let's go on. Is it true or false questions? All forms of disability can be seen physically. This should be a little easy. Five more seconds. Yeah, so the correct answer is false. So all forms of disability cannot be seen physically. There are some mental disabilities and learning disabilities like dyslexia that you can't always see, but there are obviously some disabilities that you can see, but all disabilities can't be seen, right? So we'll show the leaderboard. Oh wow, we have just a bit rearrangement this time. We have Yashika on third and we have Manishika on fifth. So right, we're looking forward to having more people on the leaderboard. So yeah, next question. According to the Indian RPWD Act 2016, which rights are people with disabilities provided with? I think that's a typo. So, right. Which of these rights do people with disability have? Right to education, right to vote, right to employment, or all of the above? This should also be a
The
bit.
RPWD Act stands for the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016.
Yeah. Right. So the correct answer is all of the above. And I think everyone got it correct almost. So, right. And please don't put the answers in the chat. Let's try to have some competitive spirit in this session a bit. Oh, we have a new name. We have Ashi on 5th position. Congratulations, Ashi. And Malini still maintaining her 1st position. Right. So we'll continue with the Kahoot. Our next question is from Anya. But ma'am, Anya could not make it to this session today. So ma'am, I'll just read out her question. Her question was, how can we as students be more accepting of students with disabilities and special needs?
I think first thing first, it's the theme of your session, being kind. And I am glad that my classmates, when I was just this 13-year-old girl, and I think at the age of 15 is when I completed my 10th and I joined the regular school, and my classmates, people my own age, the students that were part of my class, I think them being kind to me and them, of course, sometimes I do need accommodation, right? Sometimes I will need assistance. So, making me feel that I'm a part of them as much as they are a part of this class. I think that is the first, I would say, I think it's something very important. We need to be kind, and we need to show that in our actions. We need to show that in our words, not saying something hurtful, not saying something insensitive, and, not staring or, any kind of action that we may, hurt a person with disability. And it doesn't mean that people with disabilities are very sensitive. I am not. I crack a lot of jokes that, I make fun of my hands. And for example, when we are writing or struggling with our homework, or we are writing, we are just tired of a lot of study work. And sometimes I tend to say that when I'm overwhelmed with a lot of homework, that, oh mom, this has gone beyond my hands. And my mom will, make a joke that, but you don't have hands. So these are the kind of, it's up to us how, we give them that kind of comfort. So as students, when you see next time when your classmate say has a disability, it could be a visible disability, it could be an invisible disability, but being kind and being sensitive to their needs and being helping them, but not making them feel at the same time that, they are dependent on. I think friendship, especially school friendships and college friendships, they are very, very beautiful. So I think that's the time. And I have never felt that because I don't have two hands that I can't make friends. I think I never had that kind of a thought. I have many friends in my schools and my college. I think I made many friends, and I'm very happy that I had that opportunity, because what is life without friends, right? We need friends. We need our peers to be there for us, to support us. So that is something that we each can do first. Second, another thing is to spread awareness in every way we can. I think this theme, this talk that you're hosting, inviting a person with a lived experience, I think that is so amazing that you have done, that everyone here is getting to hear from someone. Because I remember I did not get that chance when I was in school to know someone with a disability. It took me a long time, and the first time I actually met a person with disability, I got very scared. My father invited him home, and I refused to meet him because I was so scared. So we need to break those kind of barriers, right? We need to make it normal. I'll be very hurt if a young child meets me and is scared of me, right? Because there's nothing to be scared. My hand, I have a nephew, my sister's son, and he's 7 years old. He doesn't get scared when he sees my hand. So how is it fair for any young child to be, to fear a person with disability? But I remember I had that fear, and that needs to go. So we as students, we need to do that. We need to be able to make it more normal. So when today you will talk to someone, you talk to your friend, and we need to normalize that people with disabilities are just like you. And we need, like, I think this great advocacy work that you are doing, creating awareness on these varied topics, I think that is so amazing. So keep doing that. And again, the theme of your talk, let's spread kindness.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, definitely, ma'am, agreed, ma'am. Like, because there are like when people don't see it as something that's natural and it's not something that a lot of people have, so they think, oh, this is different, is this normal? Well, it is completely normal. It's just people have different needs. You may have a different need, the person around you may have a different need. We'll continue with the Kahoot, but we have a few more questions from the audience that we'd like to take first. So right, so I think one of our questions is from Loveleen. So Loveleen, you can ask your question to ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, my name is Shavleen Kaur, and I am 13 years old from Adarsh Public School. And ma'am, I love your story. Ma'am, whatever you just said, ma'am, I have just listened all the things. And ma'am, I'm very happy that I'm talking with you. Ma'am, I just also want to tell that, ma'am, right, ma'am, you were telling that in the age of 13, I was having this type of disability, ma'am. But, ma'am, in this period of lockdown also, ma'am, with my grandmother, ma'am, this same thing was there. But, ma'am, she was having that. Uh, Her both the hands were broken, so ma'am, there is very much problem that we have to take care with them. And uh, so I just want to tell that, ma'am, the all the people that do not support us, that we should say that, ma'am, uh, some people who are having their physical disabilities, ma'am, we should see them with their work and effort, that what they are doing, not by their disabilities.
Absolutely right. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's a great lesson that you have shared, and seeing somebody for their abilities. And I would be heartbroken if today you saw me and you thought that the only thing that you took away from my talk would be, oh, this girl doesn't have hands. No, I would be happy if you thought that you remembered me as somebody who smiled, or a person, it could be anything. I don't need to get a huge award to be recognized. I think everyone, just by being themselves, I think everyone deserves that kind of treatment that you just talked about. And yes, we need to be seen for our abilities and not for our disabilities. I think that's
Ma'am, also, when I just joined the session right now, and when you turn on your video, ma'am, I have seen your hands, ma'am. I was literally, ma'am, I was just stuck in between that, ma'am. First time I have seen like this, and it was very different for me. And right now, talking with you, it's very nice.
Thank you. That's so sweet of you, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Loveleen. And ma'am, we'll just take some small questions from the audience. One of the questions is from Bhuvan. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, but Bhuvan, you can pitch what you want to have for ma'am. I think Bhuvan is facing some issues. So we'll move on to Dipendu. Dipendu, you can ask your question to ma'am. Right, ma'am. So I think some of them are facing issues. So ma'am, should I just ask their
Yes.
question?
Sure,
Yes,
why not?
One second, Karthik. Let's ask Bhuvan again.
yeah.
Bhuvan, you can unmute yourself, please, and ask your question. Okay, not working. Go ahead, Karthik.
Right. We'll take Dipendu's question first. Dipendu asked, ma'am, could you just tell us a bit about your journey on holding the PM's Twitter account for International Women's Day?
Okay, I think it was every time someone asks me this question, I always think, what word do I use to describe? I think that's the greatest platform I could have to share my story, or talk about what it means, why we need to talk about inclusion, or why we need to talk about people with disabilities. So I think I was I think I was on cloud nine, or if there is any statement, then you just think of the most beautiful statement that you can describe. But yes, I think it was the greatest honor I received to share my views on disability and share my story. And since that day, I would say that it has completely changed, because then with that kind of reach that I got with my story being shared on those platforms, so many people have come to me and they said that they had not never known, or they had not known about these things about disability and inclusion, and now they are learning, and now there's more awareness. So I think I was very, very happy, because I think that what as an advocate, I think my greatest success is to influence more and more people and influence them in a positive way. And what better platform than having the PM's Twitter account, and having I think his the reach that I received since that day, and I think it's still counting. And another important I think I would say is when people after reading my tweets, I think many people have written to me that they have changed the way they see people with disabilities, or they have tried to have more accommodation in their workplaces, or they are working more towards creating an inclusive society. So I think that is something I would say that's my greatest, I think it's a great achievement. So yes, so, I mean, I'm a little speechless every time someone asks me about this experience. But yeah, I think it is truly the greatest honor of my career.
Definitely, ma'am, agreed. Ma'am, we'll take just a few more audience questions, and then we'll just continue with the Kahoot quiz. Ma'am, Bhuvan's question is the one I have right now, since Bhuvan was not. If Bhuvan is here right now, he could unmute, but if not, I can read out his question for him.
Ma'am, I am Shivani from Himalayan Public School. Ma'am, I am also emotional with your story. Ma'am, I have a question. Ma'am, how do you feel when you're suffering from this accident?
Okay. So you mean when I was 13? Is that your question? When the accident happened, how did I feel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it's 20 years ago, but I think so the accident you must have seen in movies. I am not a very big fan of action movies or something, because in TV a huge explosion happens, people come out of it, they are running from those explosions, and they are nothing happened. Like in 2 days, they have these small scars, and then it just vanishes. But that's not how reality is, and that is something I have against movies when they show these huge accidents and explosions. I even worked on a video about glorifying these kind of things. But for me, I think I lived that whole trauma. So I would say that I don't think it was the happiest time, especially the first 2 years. There was a lot of pain, because it's a grenade that exploded. So it was, there were these small splinters that were in both my legs, and the doctors had to clean my wounds every day. And I think I went through some 8 or 13 surgeries to be able to walk again, which took over a year of 2-3 years. And even now I still have very disfigured legs. So it's not that I can run, or I can do physical activities, but I can walk, and I think walking is my great achievement. But physical, I think we tend to forget the physical pain. But emotional, our mental health that I talked about, the emotional trauma that comes, I think that is something that did stay with me for a long time. But I'm grateful that with everything that I have learned with this accident and everything that I got, I think education is perhaps the best thing that happened to me, that the opportunity I got that day to write my 10th grade and then continue my education. And I never missed any year. I didn't miss school after that. I wrote my 10th, I wrote my 12th, I did my bachelor's, then master's, and then an MPhil, and then PhD. So I would say education is the greatest gift that you all have, that I had. And if not for it, I am afraid what would have happened to my life. And I'm glad that we have this opportunity to be a part of, this generation. We have all this technology that we can use, and there's so much that we can grab these opportunities. So I think my life, or my completely changed because it doesn't matter what marks I got, or it doesn't matter whether I scored well. I think what mattered was I tried. I wanted to write my 10th and then I went ahead. I wanted to study. I wanted to learn about, disability. I wanted to learn about the courses that I took. So I think that is something that is very important, and you all have that chance. And I am very grateful that I continued my education, and I think that is why I'm here talking to you. So yes, it's been a journey. It was difficult, very difficult in the beginning. Even now I face those limitations, but no regrets. I would say that every day is, a blessing that we all have.
Agreed, ma'am. I do agree that education, like sometimes we may not like it, but education is the best gift that we as students have. Due to shortage of time, we'll just take two more questions from the audience. So since Bhuvan is not here right now, we'll take Malini first because Malini is here. So Malini, if you want to just unmute and ask the question.
Yes, of course. Malvika ma'am, it's an honor to meet you. I'm in shock that I'm able to be in a part of such a thing, to hear actual people's experiences. And I've always had interest in doing such research on inclusion more than disability, how to include other people in the way that I behave in my own life. And to know that this organization itself is a student conducted thing is it gives me a lot of hope. I would love to be a part of something like this in the future. And my question is, after your accident, was there any specific person in your life who you believe was the reason for your mental stability at the time, like a parent or a friend or a sibling? Or do you think it was your own willpower that was the more prominent reason? Or was there someone who you really believe helped you, you could rely on at the time?
Thank you. I think it's a very beautiful question. And I think for me, somebody who has been with me from the day the accident happened until date is my mother. I think she's a very, very positive, and she always moves forward. She's always talking about, moving forward in life. So I think her presence in my life is what gave me the stability that you talked about. And of course, my father's support, my sister's support. So I think my immediate family, because this accident, of course, I was the one who was physically injured, but it didn't just impact me, it impacted all of them. After the accident, we were separated because my mom and I used to live in the hospital and my father had to work, so he was in a different place altogether. And since my mom couldn't take care of my sister, she had to be sent to my aunt's place so she could be taken care of. So this accident, individually, it hurt everyone in different kind of ways, but for us, um, I give credit to my family, and of course we agree that it is teamwork. We all need to play our parts. Sometimes my mother says that if I had just decided that I'll keep crying, that I have lost hands and refuse to come out of it, or if I refuse to listen to her, or if she would say that okay, let's try something, and I would say no, I will not, because hey, I don't have hands, so I will not try it. Or why should I try it? What does it even mean anymore? So if I had uh, thought like that, if I had let those negative thoughts take over me, this teamwork, I think it would have, team is important, right? What is family? Again, it's teamwork. That's what we learn, right? When we are in school, we are doing these projects together. We talk about the importance of teamwork, and that's what takes us when we are working and in future. So I think it starts at home, and that is why I would say that each person's role in my family, my mother's, my father, my role, and my sister's role, it was very important. And I'm glad that we each played that role and we each supported. And I would say that this is what really helped us come out of the trauma.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was also a wonderful sentiment, that family is teamwork. Honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Malini. For people, just to remind that Malini is right now coming first in the leaderboard for our Kahoot quiz. So just wanted to put that out there. Right, and one last question we have is from Bhuvan. Bhuvan, are you here? If Bhuvan is not here, we'll just read his question. It's just a small question. All right, we'll just read the question. Ma'am, what do you feel a child with disabilities would do better if he or she is placed in a special center or in a school, or if they're just kept in the normal classroom? Like if they're kept in just normal classroom, would they do better? Or do you think it's better if they place them in a special like learning center where they're taught the basic skills that this other students also taught? Yes.
This question, I think it depends from case to case, students to student, because of course, if say it's only certain provision available in a school, and if say there is a visually challenged person and there are not enough accommodations, of course it would help that student to learn in a place where where the accommodations are provided. So I have personally, I think, studied about this when I have visited learning centers which help, which give special, focus on different kind of learnings and also inclusive education. So I don't think either is good or bad. They both are good in their ways. It depends on the students. For me, I think the only accommodation I needed was the classroom be shifted from certain floor to a ground floor, and of course my notes my classmates used to give me. So this was the only accommodation I needed. But I'm a person with physical disability. Now my accommodations will be different from somebody who has a learning disability or somebody who is visually challenged. So we need to, I think, focus on the disability, focus on what accommodations are there. If someone will do better in a place where there is special needs and special coaching, I think we need to focus on that. So I would say both are equally important, and they both focus on different needs, and wherever the accommodation is needed, that is where the student should go.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Are we going to continue with the Kahoot right now, or could we just clarify that?
I think, Katke, ma'am, if you have some time, we have two more audience questions which are really interesting. And then we can do the Kahoot and end at 5:30 if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, Nitya.
So there are these two questions from, I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrongly, but Prativiti and Bharvati, which says, do you ever feel incomplete without your arms, or does it ever feel so weird to have prosthetic arms instead of your actual ones?
I used prosthetic hands for, I think, almost 10 to 12 or 13 years. I used them for a very long time. These days, when I post my pictures, I don't wear my hands. So a lot of people are curious that why I don't use prosthetic hands. But I did use them for, I think, almost 13, 14 years. I got a lot of benefit from it because I had just joined school and I loved fixing a pen and writing. And that was something I couldn't do without those prosthetic hands. But there were also some negatives that came with it because it was very heavy, or I would feel hot. And I lived in Delhi and Chennai, and they're all very warm places, especially in summer. Sometimes the hand would tend to slip, or it will just be very heavy. So for me, I had both positives and negatives from wearing hands. I think in the last 5 years, I realized that I'm very independent without them, because I think, again, I'm finding the silver lining here because my hands are stumps are very long. You can see that it's so long. I just lost my wrist. There are people who may have lost their hands from the above elbow or even from the shoulder. I'm sure an artificial hand would be the way to go because that is something that would be of great help to them. But for me, I was able to find many things to do without my hands. So I started learning, like, for example, cooking. I'm very comfortable to cook with these hands. um I remember, I think I'm not sure who said this, my father or my mother or either of them or maybe both of them, but what they said was, one day we will start loving this hand as well. When I was on the hospital, this is 20 years back, I think it was my mother who said that. So this feeling of feeling incomplete, of course, I spent many years feeling that, especially when I was in college and meeting young people around me. I used to feel a little shy and inferior. But when I started realizing what I truly am, what my strengths are, I think my hand became my strength. I don't know what I will do without these two hands. And I have this bone coming out of my right hand. This is what I use to type. There are softwares, but being able to type by myself, I find great joy in that. And I type my doctorate thesis with this hand. So I think these hands are my greatest strength, my support. So there is no way I feel bad for them, or have think that they are incomplete or they are different. And with time, I think someone here asked how old I am. So I was 13 when the accident happened. So this year, actually this Feb, I will turn 33. It's going to be 20 years since my accident. And I think today, truly, I can say that I have embraced who I am, my hands, and nobody can now make me feel bad for, the way my hands are now.
Yes.
Yeah, Anita.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We have one last question, but I would like to also say that since I have dyslexia, I do get scribes and all, but sometimes I also do prefer writing for my own self, considering they won't be able to express it exactly the way I want it to be expressed. But my last question is, who was your greatest inspiration for you to like? Who kept like we get your family and your friends kept motivating you, but who was your inspiration that maybe like this is not a time to give up? Like there are people other than me living like this.
I think people who I came across during my journey, there are many people that who are my classmates in college, people with different kinds of disabilities. And I used to think that, oh, with this disability, they are able to do so much. Or even people without disabilities, doing things in life, being hardworking and determined to achieve their goals. I say that I seek inspiration from, everyone around me, and especially from people who are very sensitive towards the needs of people with disabilities. Everyone who has given me the respect and who has given me the platform that I deserve, or everyone who has treated me with kindness and not has, said anything insensitive about my disability. So I think I seek inspiration from everyone around me, and that is what I think. We live in such a well knit. I think India, our country, is so beautiful that there are, even though we are so diverse, but at the end of the day, our differences are what that unites us. And being a person with disability makes me different, but it's the love that I get and the recognition, the encouragement that I get. So I think that is what really inspires me. And I, even like today, if I think that I quit and I cannot keep doing this, I cannot keep trying this, there are people around me, constantly. Today there is this talk. So this morning actually I was not feeling well, but I was so excited that there are going to be young children listening to me. That was so inspiring for me, and that kept me motivated throughout the day. So I think it is everything. Motivation is something around us all the time, and we just need to grab it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think that's all the questions we have right now. So we'll just continue with the Kahoot. We'll just take all the questions together right now. So we just have, I think, 2-3 questions left in the Kahoot, after which we'll end the session. So again, just to recap, we have Malini on first, we have Manny on second, Yashika on third, Radhika on fourth, and Archie on fifth. So this is the last chance. Everyone has to change their positions in the leaderboard. So yeah, just try your best. And the game pin is 2296384. I think it's already in the chat. Right. We can continue. Which of the following organizations has a speaker Malvika Iyer worked with? So this is a question on our speaker. So this is just a list of organizations that our speaker has worked with. So is it TEDx? Is it World Economic Forum? Is it UN Women? Or is it all of the above? All right. And right. So the correct answer is all of the above. Our speaker has worked with TEDx, World Economic Forum, and UN Women. So right, that's what the answer was, all of the above. Thank you, everyone. Oh, we have Malvika ma'am climbed back up on her own question. That's quite funny. Right, so we have Malini still on first, and we have Manny very close, and Yashika and Aussie. Right. So the next is a true and false question. This is the last question. We must be kind and ensure acceptance and inclusion of people with disabilities. Right. So this is quite an easy question and quite intuitive as well. And the kind is again the theme of our session. So kind stands for kindling, inclusion, and nurturing disabilities. So right, that's just what we gave up. Right. So we got true, we got 2-3 people writing false, but that's totally fine. So the results. On third position, we have Yashika. On second, we have Manny. And first, we have
Malini.
Malini. Right. So runners up, we have Malvika ma'am and Ashi. So, right. Thank you everyone for participating in the Kahoot. Now I'd like to call upon Nitya to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you all for coming. Especially thank you, Mrs. Malvika Iyer, for taking out time from your busy schedule. Please do follow us on our Instagram and Facebook. Also, please buy. We also encourage to buy the Purpose Lane book. It will tell you a little more about dyslexia, as we got a lot of questions in the chat, and our details are given on the chat. So thank you all for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah, thank you, Nitya. And just to add one thing, our Instagram and Facebook username is rebelgirls.in. So in case you want to get updates on this session, and just we'll try to post some of the clippings from this session if we can on our Instagram, and just some updates. So just follow us on our Instagram and Facebook, again, rebelgirls.in. And right, so and Nitya's comic book series again to call is Purple Flame. So right, thank you everyone. Thank you, ma'am, also.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Right.
I think if you can get every